All right. So, hey, my name is Ike. Um, this is my ENT final, and I wanted to introduce to you guys Dr. Marilyn Watkins. Uh, this is Dr. Marilyn Watkins.
Good morning. Good morning, Ike. So nice to be here with you today.
Good morning. It's nice to be here with you as well. I'm super excited for this interview because I have a ton of questions to ask you, being an experienced business owner. So, actually, I would like you to introduce yourself, to introduce your business, and kind of like some of your business experience.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm Dr. Marilyn Watkins. I actually started my first business was actually called Building Bridges Incorporated, and it was the first African American HIV/AIDS service organization in the state of Mississippi. I started that business in 1995. So I've been in public health for about the past, I'm going to age myself, for about the past 30 years or so, doing public
Wow.
health and working in the community. I also currently serve as the CBO director for the CDC Foundation, and I'm working in COVID-19 pandemic, working with community-based organizations as well.
Wow, that's amazing. So I guess what I want to jump right into is kind of um your business experience and specifically what made you choose the field of public health. Was there anything going on back in 19, you said 95? Was there anything going on that made you feel inclined to go into public health business?
Yes, there was. I actually lost a very good friend to HIV and AIDS in 1988.
Oh,
That was
I'm
the
sorry.
beginning of the AIDS epidemic. A lot of information was not known. And I didn't know anything about HIV. So I had a lot of stereotypes and I had a lot of misinformation. And so when my friend was diagnosed with HIV, I didn't know what to do. I was scared. I was afraid to be around him because I didn't know, how HIV was contracted at that time. I knew nothing. And so upon his death, it made me realize that I needed to get more information. I needed to educate myself. But more importantly, I called myself a Christian at the time. And I realized that I had turned my back on him and I really felt like a hypocrite. And so I determined in my life that I was going to do something to help people living with HIV, especially us church people, to learn about HIV so that we won't be so hypocritical about people and about life. And so after his death, I went to get all the information I could. I became a volunteer for the American Red Cross. I became an HIV/AIDS instructor, and so my career began because of my friend's death. And so after working in the field for a while, I recognized that there weren't a lot of agencies that were actually helping people. All they really had was the health department. And at that time, I was working in the health department. And I just realized that people needed more than just coming in, getting their test results and leaving. They needed some services to help them live with that. And so I decided that I was going to start an organization that would help people with HIV in whatever way was necessary, be that counseling or help getting to their doctor's appointment or just having somebody to talk to. So I started Building Bridges in 1995, and it was just a testament to my love for my friend, but also recognize that I could do something in the community for others.
Wow, that is super powerful. Like, and I really resonate with that specifically because like I feel like we we have to step up to be a light in our community,
Mhm.
like, and to kind of really empower our community and provide what is necessary and what's missing today in our community. So I really resonate with
Exactly.
that because I feel like you did that. You filled a need, and you found a need and you
Yes.
filled it. And also a really another thing I want to touch on is about how you kind of felt that call to kind
Mhm.
of do. And I feel like that's super important today when it comes to choosing business and like how
Right.
to go into your entrepreneurial endeavors, because if you don't feel super called or super passionately about what you're doing, you may not put your all into it. So
Exactly.
I guess what I where I want to go with that then is like, what would you recommend a small business owner or somebody who aspires to do small business, what would you recommend they focus on when it comes to choosing their field of business or what they want to go into business?
Oh, that's a good question. And I have an answer. I believe that God gives all of us gifts. And I think those gifts that you have are innate. You don't choose them, they're just gifts, things that you can do without even breathing, things that you can do without even thinking about it, be it writing a poem or singing a song or doing a rap or helping someone or teaching. It's a gift that God has given you. For me, I think that everybody, if you just focus in on that gift, whatever that gift is that God gave you, that should be what you do as an entrepreneur. You know, I knew that I was a teacher from the age of 5. I knew that I was here to educate and to teach people from the age of 5. And that was from teaching Bible study to 3-year-olds. How was a 5-year-old teaching kids at 3 about the Bible, doing vacation Bible school? But I knew I loved to teach, and I knew that I loved to see that light that comes on when people get excited about learning. And so all of that really just evolved over time. And I became a facilitator. I've been a college professor. I teach now, and everything I do, I teach. I'm a minister as well. And so I'm still teaching. And so I would say if you're looking for your life work, look into whatever you're good at. Look into whatever that gift is that God gave you. That's where you'll find the answer to what you should do.
I totally agree with that. You couldn't have said it any better. I have to move straight into the next question because that was
Okay.
such an amazing answer. I want to ask you, so because it, like you said, 30 years of experience in public health, I wanted to ask you, because in this journey, it kind of gets hard to motivate yourself and to continue on being an entrepreneur. It's a lot that comes with it. So I want to ask you, what was the most difficult time that you may have faced while being an entrepreneur and being in public health?
I think the most difficult time was the beginning, was the startup. And for a lot of businesses, that is the hardest, the startup. Because once you get started, it's kind of easy to start coasting. But I think just the startup was the hardest part because what I was doing, number one, hadn't been done. There wasn't another African American HIV/AIDS organization. So it was new. I was the first. And a lot of times people don't want to help you. I'm sorry. People don't necessarily want to help you get started. And so I got started. I made a lot of mistakes that I had to pay for financially because I didn't get a report in on time or I didn't do something that was necessary for a business. And so I paid for it literally. But I think for me, my grandmother used to always say, you know, a bald lesson, you know the rest. But a bald lesson, you'll never forget a bald lesson. And so just the beginning was the hardest part because once I got in, got my feet wet, got started, it became comfortable, started rolling, things got good. Business lasted for 20 years. So, you know, I think God gives you an idea, go with it.
Wow, that's amazing advice. And that's just a huge shout out again to you for being the first Black woman-owned public health can you give me
HIV/AIDS organization.
HIV/AIDS organization, being the first in the state of Mississippi. That's huge. I want to ask you, and I guess I'll ask a question about that really quickly. What were there any specific, I'm sure there were, and maybe you can really speak on this for the state of Mississippi, but were there any specific challenges that you faced because of who you were, being your skin color, obviously, and then you being the fact that you are a woman in business as well? Were there any rooms that, you know, people maybe not let you into or anything like that? And how did you overcome that? How did you really achieve and endure during that?
You know, yes, there were a lot of doors that were closed that were not even open for me to go in. But after a time, you know, people always say you need to make room for the table. I was the person that turned over the table. And when I would come into room, I had a gentleman to say to me one time who was the lead of the health department, the STD HIV division. He called me one time and asked me a question. He said he wanted an honest answer. And he said he knew that if he called me, he would get an honest answer. He asked me, what could be done as far as HIV in African American. And I told him the truth about what needed to be done. And he said at the end of the call, he said, Marilyn, I know one thing. If I ever want to know the truth, I can ask you because you're going to tell me the truth and you're not going to sugarcoat it. And so that was one thing that I had to learn to do, is to speak my truth always and everywhere. And when there was not a table, I know how to build tables. I know how to make my own room. Whereas you come see me, I don't have to come see you. So besides turning over a few tables, literally, I got to be known as the person who was going to call it like it is, keep my word, and do the things that I say I'm going to do. But yes, there were lots of challenges because, to be honest, people didn't want to see me win. No. And it's okay. But when you have a gift and you have a goal and you have a guide, doesn't matter what other people think. Just keep pushing. That's my thing. My grandmother used to always say, keep pushing, baby.
Yes, ma'am. That just resonates with me so much. Like, and I'm being super blessed by this. This is super informative for me. Again, I got to thank you, Dr. Watkins, because it's like, I really appreciate all the game you're giving to me right now. I'm going to try to get in one more question before we wrap it up. Well, I heard from a little birdie, if you don't mind me asking this question.
Okay.
I heard from a little birdie that you wrote your own grants for your business. Can you please talk a little bit about like the grant writing process and maybe about some tips or pointers for anybody who may be a grant writer in disguise or may not even know what grant writing is? Can you give any tips or anything about the process?
Well, for nonprofits, and my organization was a nonprofit, a lot of times they only survive on grant funding. So you have to know how to write grants. And I have to be honest and say that I actually had a mentor who was an excellent grant writer. And he actually showed me the ropes as far as writing grants. And one key that I want to give to everybody that has to write a grant is read the grant proposal. If they ask for X, please give them X. Don't give them Y. A lot of times we want to filibuster, add verbiage, talk about ourselves, but they didn't even ask about that. What I've learned is answer the questions as written, give your best detailed answer. If it says 300 words, do 300 words, not 315. Because I've also served as a grant reviewer. And a lot of times, especially for federal grants, if you don't follow the outline as written, they will not even do your proposal. So find you someone that may have written grants before. Look for grants that are in your interest, what you're interested in doing, first of all, not something that's off the wall, but something that you really want to do. Follow the proposal as written. There's always things on the internet. You can look up sample grants. But the key, though, is to follow the prescription. Whatever it is that they ask for, do that. And just, pour your heart into it, what it is you want to do, how you want to do it, come up with your goals and your objectives of what you want to reach and who you want to reach and why you want to reach them. And just make sure you cover that. You're going to have a few losses. You're not going to get all of them. But if you get one, and you get one good one, you're going to be okay. And that'll be the start. And that's what happened with my agency. We received funding from the Centers for Disease Control, which was in a large amount of money. And so we were able to then get the business going, get it running, hire staff. And so then I could start looking for other funding as well for the project. So the key, find the grant proposal, the request for proposal, follow it to a T. If it says double space on one side of the paper, double spaced on one side of the paper.
Yes, ma'am. That's amazing advice. I really appreciate you. And I really like highlighting on the finding a mentor thing. I realized this is so important for those of you who are experienced in business. I really do appreciate, and I want to show you my gratitude again, Dr. Watkins. Just
Oh,
thank you
you're
so
welcome.
much for sharing, because like it's so important to find somebody who's really going to be a good teacher to you, so that you do things right when you're starting out. And I think that's kind of what my generation of entrepreneurs, we kind of lost upon the fact of finding a mentor, or being teachable, even, so that you
Yes.
can accept good information and accept good advice. So I guess my final question to you, Dr. Watkins, would be, what is the good teachable information? What is the good advice that you would like to give to the entrepreneurs that are my age, that are to come under me? What is the advice that you have for them?
Find your gift and walk in it.
Okay.
And don't let anyone ever tell you it's not your gift,
Yes, ma'am.
because it's your gift. So do the things that you need to do with that gift, because it's just that, a gift. It was given to you freely, and you freely give it away.
Mm. That's amazing. Like, so well put. Thank you so much, Dr.
You're
Marilyn
welcome.
Watkins. Everyone, I this is my final project, but this is something that like I'm going to hold on to this forever, because this is so important to me. It really resonates to me because I love business. I love like being a leader, and I can see that you are a leader of the community, a real staple to the community. And with what you do with your organizations, like we're just grateful to have you, and grateful to have you today to speak you know, into for us. Like I know it's just me right here, but I'm speaking for those that I know are going to hear this and be truly blessed by your words. Like I really want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Like thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Ike, for all you do. And I'm looking forward to hearing about your business.
Yes, ma'am. I would. Thank you so much. Yes,
You're
ma'am.
welcome.
All righty. Everybody, that's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.